Greetings, my fellow fiends. It's your buddy Boogeyman Ben here for another episode of Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone. And today will be a segment that I premiered in January of this year. It was called Horror Flick Picks on Netflix. And I'm just going to get right into it. So the first flick I want to talk about is a movie called The Loft. So to give a little overview of what The Loft was about, the movie came out in January of last year. It just deals with 5 married men who, they all have this place, this loft. So they pretty much have this loft as their secret getaway where they can have their mistresses and things like that. There's no hotel records if they're, having affairs. So there's no way that their wives can trace that they're having affairs and things like that. And then one day they find that there's a dead body in the loft, and it's sort of like this kind of whodunit of who committed the murder out of the 5 guys. The cast members, you have Carl Urban, James Marsden, Wentworth Miller, Eric Stonestreet, just some really good actors right there. But this film was absolutely fucking horrible, and this is just my opinion, of course. The only thing that I thought was decent in it was James Marsden was pretty good in it. Everybody else is just terrible in this film. It's one of those films where it's an interesting idea. It just doesn't come together very well, and it's not, you don't care about these guys. They're all like pieces of shit, so there's no one really to root for. Like I said, James Marsden you kind of care about, but the rest of the cast, I mean, Carl Urban is a complete douche, as is Eric Stonestreet. He's great on Modern Family, but in this film he was just fucking horrible. He was just a complete, just kind of like, almost like a caricature of a douchebag. He was just wasn't interesting at all. And like I said, though, the basic reveal at the end was kind of, I expected it. And again, when you don't care about the central characters, it's hard to really get invested in this, in these guys at all. So yeah, for me, it was a really low one. If I had to score this on my scale of movie ratings, I would give this 1 skull. The next film I want to talk about is a great, great film, and it's called The Veil. My wife actually found, just looking through the film, she said, "Oh, that one looks interesting, let's check it out." And, they don't have trailers on Netflix, so what I did was I went on to IMDb and I looked up the trailer. And I saw that Thomas Jane was in it, as was Lily Rabe, who has been on American Horror Story. She's been on several seasons of it, and she's a fantastic actress. When I saw those two were in it, I had to check it out. The guy that directed it did a great 80s movie called 3 O'Clock High that I really loved when I was a kid. He also did the movies Final Analysis, Gridiron Gang, let's see, some other ones that he's done, the Heaven's Prisoners, he did it. This movie was fantastic, and there's a powerful cast. I was surprised because not only do you have Lily Rabe and Thomas Jane in it, but Jessica Alba surprised me in this film because I'm not a huge Jessica Alba fan. I think I liked her in Sin City, and she was pretty decent in the Fantastic Four movies. But she was great in this film. All 3 of them, Lily Rabe, Jessica Alba, and Thomas Jane, were just fantastic. Thomas Jane is I'm a huge fan of Thomas Jane. I don't think that guy gets enough work. He's fantastic in the film. Very, very different performance for him, but it was so creepy. And the basic premise of the film is that it's kind of like a Jim Jones kind of thing. The Ty West film, The Sacrament, kind of addressed the same thing, but that was more from a documentarian point of view. This one deals with, it's 25 years after the members of a cult have all committed like a ritualistic suicide. And there was one survivor, who is the character that Lily Rabe plays. And alongside a documentary crew, they return to the scene of the events. And that's pretty much all I'm going to give about this one. But excellent, excellent film. And it was produced by Jason Blum, so it was just a fantastic film. And like I said, it's very creepy, really great independent horror film. I knew nothing about. If I had to give this one a rating on my scale, I would give this one 5 skulls. And The Veil was so good that I actually bought it on DVD last night when I went to Walmart. I had no idea that it wasn't even out on DVD yet, so I actually saw it before it was released. It's on Netflix right now. Everybody owes it to themselves to check out this film. I haven't watched the DVD yet. I don't think there's any special features or anything on it, but $12 at Walmart was completely worth it. Absolutely love this film. The next film I want to talk about is a film called Mockingbird, and the basic premise of Mockingbird deals with a couple that are given this camera with a set of instructions, and they have to follow the instructions because if they don't, they're going to die. And it's done in a documentary. I mean, the cameras that these people get in them, because it's more than just the couple. There's a couple other people that get cameras in this. But if the main couple is the focus, but then you have a couple other people that receive cameras as well, and what they have to do is they have to sort of document everything, and they're being terrorized at the same time. They have to follow these instructions, or horrible events will happen. But this was directed by Brian Bertino, who directed The Strangers, which is a film I haven't talked about on this channel, but is a fucking horrifying film. Absolutely terrifying film. So when I saw that he had directed this film, I thought it would be great, and it was not. It was not a good film at all. I was shocked at how bad this film was. It just, the payoff at the end was just I knew where it was going to go. I knew what was going to happen. I knew what the payoff was going to be, and it fucking sucked. It was really, really horrible. And coming from the guy that directed The Strangers, I was shocked at how bad this film was. If I had to give this one a rating, I wouldn't even give this a full skull. I would give this half a skull. It was that bad. Visions is another film that Blumhouse Pictures did, and again, I saw the film. They actually just released it on DVD, and I saw it at Walmart last night when I picked up The Veil. So it deals with this couple that decide to start a new business. They move into this vineyard, and the wife is pregnant, and all of a sudden she starts seeing terrifying visions on the property, and it's really got some really creepy moments. I thought it had a terrific twist ending that you didn't see coming. Great cast. You have Isla Fisher. You have Anson Mount. You also have Gillian Jacobs, Joanna Cassidy, Ava Longoria, Jim Parsons. Fantastic cast. The movie was directed by Kevin Grudert, who's directed some terrific films. He directed Saw 6 and Saw the Final Chapter. He directed Jezebel, and he was an editor on Saws 1 through 5, as well as The Strangers and The Collection. The film was really interesting. It was really well done. Very creepy at parts, made you jump a bunch of times. There was some really creepy imagery. I thought Isla Fisher did a terrific job in it. Just she's like the main focus that you're with, but also Gillian Jacobs surprised me. She was really, really good in this film, and I love her from Community. But this was like the first film I had seen her in where she was playing in a dramatic role. So excellent, excellent film. If I had to give this one a rating, I would give it 4 skulls. The next film I want to talk about is a film called John Dies at the End. And I've heard so many things about this film. It was directed by John Coscarelli, who's directed the Phantasm films. He also directed Bubba Hotep. Pretty much the plot deals with this new street drug, and it allows it sends its users across time and space and dimensions. But what happens is once they come back from the trip that they're on, they're no longer human. So that's like I said, that's kind of the best plot I can give without explaining, because it's really, really strange. It's a strange film, but it's got great people in it. Paul Giamatti's in it, Clancy Brown, Glenn Turman, just a terrific cast. Doug Jones, just going through the list of people that were in it. I really found it to be it's a very funny film, very fast paced. I love the dialogue in it, especially the dialogue between the two leads, which is Chase Williamson, who plays Dave, and Rob Mays, who plays John. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. If I had to give it a rating, I would give it 3.5 skulls. The Taking of Deborah Logan was one that I've been wanting to watch. I've heard pretty good things about this one. Actually, for horror films, it actually had a pretty high rating on Netflix, which is pretty unusual. Usually horror films are all 1 star for some fucking reason. But this one is really different. It's done in a documentary style. It deals with a documentary film crew who are doing a piece on a woman named Deborah Logan who has begun to develop Alzheimer's. And it's got a different vibe to it than I thought it was going to have. It's not a typical case of Alzheimer's, let's just put it that way. It does go into a supernatural kind of area, and I thought it was well done. I think the saving grace for it for me was the cast. The woman that plays Deborah Logan, Jill Larson, and then her daughter, Sarah Logan, played by Anne Ramsey. I love both of them, and they both, for me, were the strongest parts of the film. They just, every time they were on screen, it was just so well done, so interesting. Both of them gave terrific performances, and I think without them, this movie would have just fallen into a really crappy found footage film for me. If I had to give this one a rating, I would give it 3 skulls. And the last one I want to talk about is called Contracted Phase 2. And it's funny, my buddy Jason from Beyond the Realms asked me the other day what movie I was going to be watching. And I said Contagion 2. And he was like, oh, I've never heard of that film. I didn't know they made a sequel. Because they haven't, Jason. For some reason, I got the titles mixed up. But yeah, Contracted 2 is the sequel to Contracted, which my wife and I did watch about 6-7 months ago. We really liked that film. It's got a low rating on Netflix. But this one picks up exactly where that one left off. And I thought it was really a well done sequel. It's not exactly like the first one, which my wife thought the first one was stronger. And I'd have to agree with her a little bit because the first one is more of one person's journey. You don't know what this thing is that she gets in the first film. Because the first one it deals with a woman named Samantha in the first one, and in this one it deals with who she infected in the first one, which is his name is Riley. So it picks up immediately where the first one left off, and it's pretty much he's looking for a cure to whatever this is, and there is this host that is spreading this virus like all over the city, and you find out a little bit more about the person that actually is giving this virus to people, which I thought was the interesting element of this. The performances were good. I thought that his name is Matt Mercer, who played Riley. I really liked him. He also had some great cameos in this by some horror icons. If you're a horror fan or you're a fan of independent horror films, you'll know. I don't want to give them away here, but it's got some very gross moments. But I was hooked through the whole ride. I really like this one. I hope they make a third one. I think they could with the way that this one ends up. If I had to give this one a rating, I would give this one 3.5 skulls. So that is going to be about it. So I'm really enjoying this new segment, Horror Flick Picks on Netflix, and it seems like people really enjoyed the first video, so please share your thoughts in the comment section below of what you thought about the films. If you've seen any of the films that I talked about today, please let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this segment, because I'm planning to do at least 1 to 2 of these a month. So I have another one. I've already started watching some more horror films that I'm going to be talking about in the next one of these. So thanks so much, everyone, for watching, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Take it easy. Stay scared.